Good morning, natural gas. It's Friday, May the 8th, 2026. I'm Tim Beggins, president of Elk Trading Company. And for the spot June contract, we're currently trading at 282, up 5.1 cents or 1.84%. And as you can see, we're above the 13-period exponential moving average. The RSI has turned higher. What's going on? Well, we've got a combination of the EIA report, that's for storage, the weather, and rising LNG. Let's get to it. So let's take a look at the EIA storage report, and it came in at plus 63. This was bullish relative to expectations, to last year, and the 5-year average. So it gave a short covering boost to the market. We're moving slowly higher. Let's take a look at what's going on in ERCOT. ERCOT, well, we've got some lower renewables today. Why? Wind is really quite low. It's going to be lower than 5,000 megawatts here around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The total demand just over 60,000 megawatts. As you can see, it was higher than the day ahead forecast, which is good for the market because natural gas is picking up over 50% of the fuel mix right now, 51.7%. or over 25,000 megawatts of demand. So good for natural gas. And here's the hourly chart. And as you can see, we're above the daily pivot today, which came in at 275.30. And we're testing that first resistance at 282.90. So we've gotten as high right now as 284.5. So this is pretty good. We've gotten above that first resistance. We're still contained in the body of trading right now between the pivot and that first resistance level. The RSI is turning positive here to the upside. Again, second resistance is 289. Let's take a look at the LNG. And yes, Golden Pass is finally starting to ramp up a little bit here. Over 400,000 MMBTUs for feed gas supply into the terminal. So this is good news. They've been running about 375,000 consistently for a while, and now we're starting to see the ramp up. So let's take a look at where that first LNG vessel landed, and that would be right here at Zeebrugge. And that is where that first vessel here, I'm not going to try and pronounce this again, but this is where it is finally moored and starting to discharge its LNG. That's the first cargo from Golden Pass. So what else is going on? Well, let's take a look at, you guessed it, the Sea Eagle. The Sea Eagle is loading the second cargo for Golden Pass, and it's still moored at the facility right now. That's good news. Should depart in a day or two. So let's take a look as this facility finally starts to ramp up. How about the front to back spreads? Well, this is Jan versus October. And as you can see here, it's on the sell side. We've got this nice little channel to the upside here, but it's starting to break down. So this is bearish at the moment. If it closes below this channel, we'll target 125. Let's take a look at the strip. This is the Novi March strip. And there's some bargain hunting here. Some buyers stepped in around the recent lows here between, basically 384 to about 388. That's been an area of value for the marketplace. The RSI is moving higher even as the price was moving lower. So that's what's called convergence. And that is kind of bullish right now. And as you can see, we're up a little bit today. We're up just 3.2 cents here, and we're currently trading at 394.40. So we'll target again 403.5 if we can sustain some of these bullish trends. And let's take a look at the weather. The 8 to 14-day temperature outlook, it's above normal in the upper Midwest. Yes, I know, not much population density, but it's a sign of things to come. Why? Because the heat is building out west, and we've got heat building from Texas all the way to Florida. So that's going to be good news as we go further and further in the forecast. Let's take a look at the weather here. This is the GFS model, and I want you to know that the European model is not as bullish as the GFS model. The European model was great for winter. GFS may be better for summer conditions. And as you can see, as we get through here, we're starting to see sustained 90-degree temperatures here across the desert Southwest, triple digits, Texas in the 90s, Florida up into the 90s. As we move into the forecast period, getting closer and closer to the third week, we start to see more and more warmer temperatures moving through Texas all the way to the southeast where we have the drought. And that is why this GFS model run may be more consistent than the European model because it's picking up on the drought. So let's take a look as we go through the forecast period. As we go, you can start to see consistent 90s in Texas all the way over to Florida, and this stretches up into the Carolinas and as far north as Nebraska. We'll see if this actually works out here. But again, the GFS model is more bullish than the European model. Let's take a look at the heat risk. As you can see, that heat building up in the west has got some minor and moderate heat risk here out in the desert southwest and parts of Florida. As we move through the forecast period, these areas start to expand, especially south of Los Angeles into Arizona. We start to see some major heat risk here because of the triple-digit temperatures and the dry conditions. This expands into Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico as we go into the forecast period. This is Wednesday, and then this is Thursday. So the heat is starting to build. The LNG exports are starting to rise, and we've got a bullish storage report. So everything is pushing natural gas higher in the US. Let's take a look at Europe, and as you can see, we're about 34.3% full. Germany only 26.6% full. So that's less than France right now. And again, Sweden is our low contender, then followed by the Netherlands. Let's take a look at the weather in Europe. And as you can see, it starts to get a little cool here as we get into May the 11th here. This is over Monday. And as it pushes in, we start seeing cooler temperatures all the way through about the 17th, 18th. Gets warmer on the northern tier. Really starts to see some warm temperatures now, all the way from the Scandinavian countries down in toward France, and of course, all the way as far over as Russia. So it looks like cooler weather next week, followed by warm temperatures. And here's Norwegian natural gas production. It's doing quite well. Actually, it's better than it was last year at this time and the year before. Not by much, but it's doing well. So that's a good sign for Europe as it starts to rebuild natural gas storage stocks. How about Asia? Again, kind of a similar pattern here. We get some cooler temperatures right now, but then that warmth really starts to come in here. This is opposite in the time frame for Europe, but it's again the same type of pattern. We get cooler weather, then it starts to warm up. And again, with super El Nino possibly forming, that means that Japan is at risk of a much warmer summer. That would also impact Eastern China and the Koreas. How about the US? Well, we're inching closer and closer to the start of the Atlantic hurricane season. And here's that Saharan air layer again. That dust is coming off the desert, pushing towards South America. But as you notice here, now pushing into the Caribbean. So eventually these winds will start to pull this Saharan air layer back up into Texas and Louisiana. Nice sunsets, but if you've got allergies, this will not be helpful. And let's take a look at the U.S. nuclear fleet. Right now, we are currently with about 14.8 gigawatts are offline. Only 2 nuclear units are fully offline. That's Fermi and Palisades. So this is well within the 5-year average. It looks like we've fully peaked out and we're getting ready for summer. And here's Japan all the way down to Taiwan. We continue to watch this for earthquake activity because if this gets worse, they may derate their nuclear units. That means more LNG demand. So we're keeping a careful eye on it. Right now, it's active all the way from northern Japan down to Taiwan. And here's our stocks for the oil and gas E&P sector. These are stocks between $2 and $10 billion, have a high short float over 10%. And as you can see, it's still pushing lower. And unfortunately, going to the 1 week performance, as you can see, these stocks got kiboshed, especially CRK, down almost 17%. So recapping again, we are currently moving higher for the spot June contract. We're currently trading at 280.260, up 5.7 cents or over 2%. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for listening. We'll see you soon.